Hi, thank you for coming. And despite all persons attending this meeting have your short CV on their folders, I would ask you if you could introduce yourself, Stavelina.
Surely. Well, I currently work at the municipality in Sintra in the education department. We have a big and quite motivated team there. But I started as a teacher for English and German, and then some years later I had some experience in the school management. I was a school headmaster for about 11 years.
And in a way, how did you start your engagement or the municipality of Sintra in the Comenius Regio programs?
Well, this, there's always a private story behind it. So for many years now I've been a member of the Learning Teacher Network, and for 15 years, and I started to work in projects, international projects at that time, whether it should be with the school or just in some other perspectives of teachers training as well. And this is like a sort of a disease, it sticks to you no matter what. So you are always a bit restless. You tend to like where you are, but then you always want to pick somewhere else. And being at the municipality didn't change that for me. So whenever the opportunity came, as soon as it came, I thought I'd grab it and then try to contaminate other partners in my new team.
And actually, who started this project? I know there's an interchange between Norwegian schools in a municipality, also a Norwegian in Norway, and some schools in your municipality in the outskirts of Lisbon. Can you tell us a bit how you were bound in this kind of marriage project? I guess from both sides there was existing this restless for international commitment, but how come that you can involve a certain number of schools with an European project?
Mm-hmm. Well, picking up your idea, if I think myself as the bride, because I'm the girl, I was introduced to the groom by a university in Lisbon, in fact, the Catholic University. So these were the partners that introduced us at first, because the Comenius Regio has this specification of having to engage one region and another in another country. So in Portugal, this would correspond to a municipality. And this is how we were brought into the project and introduced to the subject. And we thought, I thought, and submitted it then later to other people's opinions, but we thought this would be an opportunity not to miss. In Portugal, municipalities have, so to say, a low range of competences towards school and education. I mean, you are given the basics. Mm-hmm. You are allowed to step into construction and building maintenance and transportation and meals, but not in the real core of the school business, which is of course learning and teaching. And I think that gradually this is going to change for many reasons, including political reasons in some years. But this is also a path that you have to take. And in order to get inside schools, because if you are a partner to them, you have to know what they are doing, right? So we decided to be this partner for schools. We support schools, even financially, and we peek inside what they are doing. The project is another way to do it. When you invite 2 or 3 schools, in our case, even school clusters in our region, and give them a chance to work with schools from Norway, this is seen and taken as an invitation. And for the municipality, it was taken as an opportunity to change.
If I'm not mistaken, the subject of this Comenius Regio project is about self-assessment. Can you explain a bit the history, because it's not only the story but also the history of the project, and how you created an idea and how your own opinion about school self-assessment?
Yeah, true. The main subject is self-assessment, in this case using CAF as a tool, but could be anything else. And again, we thought, or we believe that self-assessment is a key point, is crucial.
Why you say so? Why for you self-assessment is crucial?
Because in any kind of organization, if you want to step forward, you have to be reflective and be able to analyze what you are doing at the moment, how you are doing it, what are you achieving with it. So, and this is not in Portugal in many aspects. Sometimes we tend to start building by the roof, as I say. So you have school assessment, external assessment, that is nationally wide generated and, very...
By the inspection?
By the inspectorate. But schools weren't told, weren't advised, and weren't taught, including how to do the first job first, which is look inside yourself and see what you are doing. So we noticed that gap, and because this was not compulsory, neither organized, what happens is that you have schools going at different rates. You have the front league and then you have the last one. And one way would be, and it was very interesting to have Norway as the opposite partner, because you have the opposite reality, where self-assessment is compulsory for secondary schools, and even the tool that they are working with is also provided to the schools. So we thought, well, this is going to be interesting to balance the have to with the should to. And let me invite you to, or at least we want you to try to. So this was a little bit the challenge that we saw, and an opportunity for schools to take it as a first step, and then we would see. But we talk about the project, and here I know that you know this, but the project now is actually the adding up of two projects. We started with the Comenius Regio.
And when did you start the first time, the first program? How long was it?
So each one has 2 years. The last one is finishing now. 4 years ago we started with the first one. And 2 years is actually not much time if you want to get to know each other very well and start working really well with your partners. We were very, very lucky, I must say, because, as far as relationship and trust and respect for each other, it always went very well with the partnership and everyone involved. But 2 years is a short time if you want to do something as big as self-evaluation. So the first 2 years, the first project, for me the first part of the project was this peek inside, was establishing a common ground, a common language, because we had to get over the part where schools would just see the differences between them and not the similarities. And this takes a while. So luckily we were fortunate enough to have the second project approved with the same partnership. So this was really a follow-up. And in the second project, what we did was we really wanted to peek more inside and more in detail. And that's what we focused on, from the school perspective to the classroom perspective.
So you really were able with this transnational project to break the classroom walls and to go from the organizational level into the classroom level.
Yes, so to say, yes. There are very, very interesting experiences in...
Can you tell us a bit, how do schools cope? How do they communicate? How do they how operate inside this project?
Again, another difficulty, because you don't have the time or the money to spend a lot of time together working face to face. So what we had to do was adding up possibilities of collaborative work between schools that were not only the presential moments, the meeting moments or the seminar moments, but also moments along the year where you would meet by Skype.
Yes, if also I was informed that schools were 6 schools in total, but they were in pairs, so they were coupled in pairs, and we were working together, a Portuguese school with a Norwegian school.
Yeah.
How is it difficult? I'd say 2 different cultures, totally different educational systems and cultural backgrounds. How you, in a way, you appreciate, because the project is now ending, but how is your, more from the heart opinion about this coupling and this way of working between schools from Portugal and Norway?
I think it went very well. Great indeed. Yes, but this was the idea, because in a group of 6, which is rather a small group, if you are not focused, you can easily,
ground, and get
go
lost,
around and miss your point. So we thought, well, why not pairing the schools, 3 on one side, one country, 3 on the other one, and we would have them like we do in the classroom,
in pairs,
working in pairs, exactly. So that even when they have to compare themselves towards one another, they are given now little time to do that, because they would know each other very well by now. So this comparison and this introduction time has been decreasing along the project, and the collaborative working time has been rising.
What are the learning outcomes of this project? You talked about this difference. First, schools were talking about the differences. Now they're talking about the similarities. What can you say about new ways of learning, new ways of teaching, and the way schools? Of course, we know self-assessment is about organizational level. But which kind of impact you foresee in your project?
It is about organizational development, but it goes down to the individual. And this is what we have learned. And this is both true for Norway and Portugal. Funny enough, but when you are engaged in this process, what you really learn is that you have to look at what you are doing as a person and what the effects of this action may cause on others, and why are they being successful or not. So if you narrow the scope from the organization to the individual to the classroom, if you go through all those passes that we went through and looked at in the first part of the project, you then come to the action of teaching and learning, and to similar strategies that can be applied both in Norway and in Portugal, and to the same problems actually, which makes us believe that people are the same wherever. So you would find the same problems, the same fears. From the teacher's point of view, the main fear is perhaps to get exposed and show what you do, because you are not sure that you are doing enough. In this second part of the project, we also decided to give a very specific role to the headmasters involved from the 6 schools.
Can you tell us a bit about it, please?
Yeah, so you would have the SAC teams working in the project. And
SAC, it's an acronym for
self-assessment teams. And then you would have also the headmasters with their own space and time for discussion. And again, they would find they have similar problems to deal with. So, but this splitting of roles, if you'd like, would also give the teachers kind of a stage to share some of their problems, some of their worries in front of the headmasters, who would then listen to some of the things that that you can feel, you can sense, but sometimes you don't have and you don't find the right place to put them, with total freedom, because you are in an international project. You are not at your school in one specific meeting or taking one specific position. And this was really very interesting to go through the project as well, because this voice, this awareness would come exactly from Norwegian and Portuguese teachers looking at their practice and saying, wow, I also have that to deal with. I also have that in my classroom. How did you do? How am I going to do? Can I follow your model? And this would be, if you'd like, this whole project is a bit of, unfinished questions being set all the time. At first by the partners, the managers of the project, but at one point I think by themselves, by everyone that was there as well.
Can you tell us a bit? So we're talking about 6 schools. So we have 6 headmasters or headmistress, then the self-assessment group that you call SAC teams. So how many people are in the SAC teams? And you have individual teachers, or the SAC teams are also the teachers. Can you explain us a bit how it works?
Yeah, the SAC teams are also teachers individually, but then they would have this extra role, whether in school and in the project as well. Because if you are a member of the self-evaluation team for your school, you also are a bit in the middle of the fight, let's say so, because you have to bring about all the work, you have to raise all the questions, you have to go and bother everyone, and then in the end you yourself are also being portrayed in that work that is being done. So I think we were, at some points I thought they were very brave to be doing that alongside with the headmasters. So, but these are the seeds that we are trying to plant here, and if they flourish, which I think they will, you would have the beginning of change at schools, the beginning of wondering, is this the only way to do this?
That leads me to my following question, which is, you have a background as a teacher and a headmistress. How do you perceive and how do you value self-assessment? What is it for?
It's when I think of it, I think it's like looking at the mirror, because you know who you are, but you don't look at the mirror quite often during the day, do you? So you know where you are going, you know what you are supposed to do, you think you have that covered, but if you stop from now and then and you look at the mirror, what do you see? Is that image exactly what was planned in your head? Because there's this dimension that sometimes people are, my God, they are in a goodwill to do their best, and they are very much believing that they are going that direction, except for they don't see the end result. So self-evaluation is like a mirror. It would give you back the image of what you are doing. And like always, like this interview, for instance, if we weren't doing this in a row, we would be going back and watching what we have done, and maybe we would have found some, new things appearing there all the time. And this is self-evaluation. It's an opportunity for you to rethink, to question yourself and the organization, of course. Is this the best way to do it? Is this going where I want it to go? Am I doing everything that I can to change what I need to change? So it's not about for me, it's not about the results. It's about the process of questioning yourself all the time and going through things and revising your plans, your initial plans.
If you'd start now the project, what would you do differently in your Comenius Regio project?
That is the difficult question of them all. Because I have been talking about self-evaluation and revising things all the time, haven't I? I don't know. I think that all the interaction that was there among people, first of all, we are people, you know. I don't think we would have changed anything there, you know. All the hesitation, all the cultural going around. You are working in English, which is not your mother tongue for neither countries. You are obviously taking risks in being misunderstood all the time. You are fighting your nerves, your shyness. At the same time, you are discovering other people, other countries, other ways to do it, other schools. What would I have done differently? I don't know. Maybe this is really difficult. Because if you change one little piece, the outcome would be different.
But once you told me that in this project the Portuguese were becoming more Norwegian and the Norwegians were becoming Portuguese. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit how it worked, how it come that kind of
that's a cultural, yeah, it's a cultural meltdown, really. That is a fact. It goes down with little details, you know. Everyone knows that the northern people are always on time, and the southern people, you know, we can be there 10 minutes later, which is even culturally accepted. And also following a plan is something for Northern Europe much rather than for Southern Europe. And all this cultural background, some of it is real and some of it is a fake, as always. So the project in the end comes to show that people are just people. And we would have Norwegian coming late to sessions because, especially in Portugal, you have good weather and sunshine outside. And you would have Portuguese people strictly following the plan because they want to be on time as well and on track. So yes, this is an inside joke of the project, which I think is very much true, and which I think is, you know, for me it's tick, job well done.
Obrigada.